So they're trying to pick a jury now in the case of a man in Ohio who investigators say shot and killed his wife in her hospital bed. This happened in Akron last year. August was the month. Police say John Wise walked into his wife's room at the Akron General Medical Center and shot her. She died the next morning. A week earlier, she reportedly had 3 brain aneurysms that left her unable to speak. Defense attorneys say John Wise was insane at the time. Friends have called it a mercy killing, but experts say that's not a legal defense in the state of Ohio. So far, no word from prosecutors. As for Wise, he could face life in prison. Anna Yum is a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor who's live with us in our Midwest newsroom this afternoon. This one's tough to look at. She could not speak, but to suggest that it was a mercy killing sounds to a lot of observers like a real stretch, Anna.
Right. Hi, Shep. Nice to see you. That's absolutely correct. Mercy killings are not legal defenses in the state of Ohio. And so it's very sympathetic, but legally that's not going to cause John Wise to be acquitted. Now, my understanding is that he's pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. And the state of Ohio, Shep, follows the McNaughton rule, which essentially says that he was so mentally ill at the time of the killing that he didn't understand the difference between right or wrong. And so that's going to be a big burden because essentially these kind of defenses, Shep, are very difficult for the defense to prevail on. Statistically speaking, they're only used 1% in criminal cases, and they are rarely won for the defense.
And you usually need some previous word from doctors or that there was treatment of a severe mental problem. Is any of that in this case?
Absolutely. That's something that's really crucial because at the end of the day, it's going to be a battle of the experts. Now, my understanding is that the defense attorney for Mr. Wise is saying that he was battling with depression and that he was so depressed that he really didn't understand the wrongfulness of his conduct. But if he doesn't have that kind of history to predicate that, then it is going to be a stretch for the jury to think, wait a second, all of a sudden he has a bout of depression and then he kills his wife. I mean, on the flip side, it's sympathetic. And like I said, that the prosecutor is going to have to be very careful that the jury doesn't nullify, that there's no jury nullification. Because at the end of the day, if the jury feels so sympathetic towards this man, they may not want to convict. And that's really what it comes down to, whether they want to or not.
Please, I'm going to give our viewers some indication of what we're dealing with here.
Sure.
Dr. Michael A. Passaro Jr. told the Associated Press about the shooting. After checking monitors, Passaro said, he asked me, please tell me that she's dead. And I said quietly, she's not dead. And then there's Terry Henderson, who's a longtime steel plant co-worker of John Wise. And after the shooting, that the couple had said after the shooting that the couple agreed they didn't want to live out their years bedridden and disabled. Now, he says that John Wise suffered from diabetes and nerve damage that made his hands and feet numb, and that he had survived bladder cancer. So they weren't in good health. They were having a hard time. But the fact remains, you need a law that says if then. In Ohio, that law doesn't exist.
And that's absolutely correct, Ship. That law does not exist. As sympathetic as it is, there's no such thing as a mercy-killing defense. And so that leads me to believe that that's good evidence for the prosecution, because the prosecution is going to rely upon those statements to say that Mr. Wise knew what he was doing, he didn't want his wife to suffer, and that he took the matter and he took the law into his own hands by shooting her. And of course, that admission to the doctor asking, is she dead, that implicates that he perhaps knew what he was doing. So the prosecution is going to use those statements to their advantage, whereas the defense is going to really rely upon their experts to say that he didn't know what he was doing and therefore he should be not guilty by reason of insanity. In my opinion, it's going to be a far stretch. I think it's going to be very difficult for the defense to win in this case, given those facts.
Anna Yum, an attorney, live with us from our Midwest newsroom. Thanks.